Documenting versus creating. What's the difference between the two, and how can you define each one for yourself? What is going on? My name is Finn Badgley. If you're new around here, I am a commercial fashion portrait photographer and all-around content creator. Today we're talking about how to approach documenting versus creating. Now, this is something Gary Vaynerchuck, opened the conversation on, talking about how people want to get started making videos like this or anything of that variety, or just posting content. And his advice was document your life, document what's going on, and don't worry so much about creating things. That is definitely a good way to just be able to put content out. And that is mainly if you're not so much of a creative person, or if you don't consider yourself to be a creative person. Myself, I do consider myself to be a creative person, but like anything else, when you want to consistently put content out there, sometimes you won't be able to create as much, and that's when this documenting sort of thing comes into play and helps you out there. Now, whenever I'm creating a photo shoot or anything of that variety, my brain gets into that creative process and I'm really able to kind of work things in a image that I have in my mind and then create that in the actual photo shoot. And then same with films, shorts, anything of that variety, where I'm able to plan it out, have an idea in my head, and execute it. But this isn't always possible. And for that, whenever you are wanting to post content, I just write down whatever ideas come to my mind, or if there's something going on in my life that could make a good story, sometimes I'll just switch the camera on if that's a good opportunity to do so. Now, also, I actually have started documenting my life more, not so much for the purposes of sharing on social media and stuff, but just to have moments that I can look back on later in life. And that I take a very different approach to than when I'm creating things like different videos, even for this channel, or different photo shoots, whether it be personal work or for a company or brand, and even any films that I work on or any short films that I create, anything of that variety. So when I'm actually documenting things, I like to have a little barrier between me and that moment that's going on. So a lot of times that's why I will use my film camera that I've started shooting with. And that is just to really capture these moments and not worry too much about settings or anything of that variety. Just kind of get it close and then it'll take care of itself from there. Now, I don't always shoot on my phone, but sometimes for documenting things like this, that is when I will pull that out. And then the odd time I'll take my regular camera that I usually shoot on, put a small lens on there, something nice and wide, something like a 24 or 40 millimeter lens. And myself, I personally like the 40 millimeter pancake lens, as it is pretty non-intimidating. It's not a very large lens, so it is something very casual to just carry around for documenting these moments. And like I said, I just want something small and easy that's not going to get in the way of me actually enjoying that moment. Now, when I'm actually creating, that's when all the gear comes out, and that's when we really go wild. And that's because we are after that shot, and that is what we're there to create, versus when I'm documenting things, I'm just in that moment trying to really absorb that and enjoy that. But I also want to capture it to have something nice to look back on later. Now, these moments that I am documenting, I could share them if I want to, but sometimes it's also nice just to have something that's just for you and you can sit back and enjoy at the end of the day. And then years later, you can look back on these and really have that nostalgic feeling looking back on your life. And then too, you can create like a photo album or something like that. And then if you have kids later on down the line, you can flip through and show them, kind of like your parents did with you, or anything of that variety, where you're able to really look back on these moments and see your life through all these different moments and really get that nostalgic feeling out of it. I don't really want to have to worry about gear so much when I am just documenting these life moments. It doesn't have to be perfect. As long as I am able to get a sense of what I was feeling in that moment, then that's kind of what I'm going for. It doesn't have to be perfectly exposed or perfectly in focus. Just as long as it's captured, that's all I really care about at the end of the day. Like, that moment is more important than fussing around with gear or anything like that, because that'll just take you out of that moment and then you're not enjoying life. So I don't want that to be a barrier from me enjoying my life and maybe you feel the same way, or maybe in looking to document more of your life, you have some of the same feelings. So this is my approach to that. No matter what I'm doing, if I'm out there creating and I have that vision in mind, then that's when I'm going to bring out everything I possibly can to make that vision come to life. And this could even be if it is a documentary, but it's a different type of documenting. Whereas one is capturing the moment of what's going on to tell a story, and the other one is experiencing a moment and wanting to remember it, so you capture it for that. And that is a subtle but distinct difference there that allows me to either be focused on really telling the story of what's happening in that moment and really crafting the story around it, versus wanting to enjoy that moment first and foremost and capturing a bit of that just so I can look back on it after the fact. So that's how I really look at documenting versus creating, and how myself as a creative person, whatever that means, that's how I'm able to work with that. And maybe this has given you some insight into whether you are a creative person, whether you're not. Personally, I think all humans are creative. It's just in different ways. So this is just a way that I go about these two different ways of capturing moments and creating content. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video and got some value out of it. If you did, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment down below. If you like this kind of thing and you want to see more of it from me in the future, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell to be notified when I post new videos so you never miss an upload. Work hard, rest often, and as always, I will see you on the next one.